Right now at noon, the entire downtown area of Lodi is at risk of flooding. We are live from that location. And a well-known actor pleads not guilty to 16 charges he faces for allegedly staging a hate crime and lying to police about it. Plus, it's as easy as pie for contestants in our annual Pie Day Pie Eating Championship. Find out what familiar face took home the trophy and a year's worth of free slices.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at noon.
Gotta love a good happy pie dance. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us here. I'm Danica Lewis in for Mark Kane, and the big story of the day continues to be the weather. Right away, let's turn it over to meteorologist Dave Caulfield in the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Dave, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, Danica, this forecast is not easy as pie because we still have to worry about flooding for the next couple of days, especially along the rivers, and also some additional thunderstorm activity possible this afternoon. Here's visible cloud track. You can see that area of clearing across portions of Illinois and southern Wisconsin starting to come to an end, but we're seeing the thunderstorms kind of fill in that area. Already some severe thunderstorms closer to Chicago at this time. And we're watching this round of storms closer to Peoria. They're tracking to the northeast. They're looking a little bit strong right now, and there is a chance that a couple of stronger thunderstorms make their way into southern Wisconsin later this afternoon. So we're watching that very closely. Right now, though, not seeing too much of anything in Madison. The WISC-TV Skycam, we've seen the clouds increase over the last few hours. Temperatures in the upper 50s and low 60s on this early Thursday afternoon. And wind speeds are quite gusty out of the south at about 15 to 20 miles per hour and gusting closer to 30 miles per hour in some spots. So your day planner, temperatures staying in the 50s this afternoon, a few showers and thunderstorms possible. Then as we head into tomorrow morning, temperatures are falling into the 30s, and we could be looking at some snow showers on Friday morning before the weather does calm down. So we'll have details on what we can expect, because flooding possible into the weekend in some spots as well. In your News 3 Now First Alert forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dave, thank you so much. So one of the many places submerged by high waters right now is Lodi, and that's where we find our Rose Schmidt live this afternoon. Rose, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, hi, Danica. We are actually right now we are at Spring Creek Park, and if you are familiar with Lodi, you know that this is home to Susie the duck. Right now, I can tell you, Danica, that the water of Spring Creek is about 3 feet higher than it normally would be this time of year. The police chief tells me that he has seen it high before, but the problem is that now it's not moving fast enough downstream, so there is nowhere for that water to go. And as water continues to rise, businesses are sandbagging, trying to keep the water from filling up their basements. Because of the current flooding situation, the city is warning businesses and homes downtown that they will likely lose power at some point today.
There's a lot of flooding going on. We have water level that has significantly increased since about 3 a.m. this morning. About 3 a.m. is when it breached the creek banks.
My wife sent me a message this morning saying it was happening. I went to my boss, told him I need to leave and come back to Lodi and do what I can.
Groups of volunteers are filling sandbags at the city garage on Water Street. So far, they already went through at least 1,000 sandbags. And of course, if you live in Lodi and you lose power today, the American Red Cross is setting up a temporary shelter at Lodi Elementary School to help you out with some of those concerns. And the police chief also wants to remind you that it is not a good idea to walk through these raging waters. You can see it could be contaminated, filled with all sorts of things that could be hazardous to your health. So please do not do that. Back to you, Danica.
No walking or driving through that rising water there. Rose Schmidt reporting live this afternoon from Lodi. Thank you, Rose. So down in Lafayette County, officials in Darlington are prepared for the city's worst flooding in decades. The police department says the situation is poised to be the worst since 1993. Now, the major flood stage in Darlington is 16 feet, and officials are expecting the Pecatonica River to rise above that mark. In 93, the river rose to more than 18 feet. The main bridge along highways 23 and 81 are closed today because the water's too high. School was affected by this as well. The police department says this is the third time they have had a flood in the last year. So we are hearing reports of flooding all across southern Wisconsin. Viewers have sent in pictures from Evansville down in Rock County, Blanchardville in Lafayette County, and Waunakee in Dane County. We'd love to see yours. If you can keep them coming, be sure you're in a safe place, though. So while we are dealing with the rain and melting snow, a major winter storm meteorologists are calling a bomb cyclone is blasting parts of the country. More than 125 crashes happened Wednesday in Denver alone. Officials shut down major interstates for driver safety. The storm also slammed Nebraska. The same system swept through Texas with winds topping at 80 miles per hour. And then back in Denver, airport workers had to pass out blankets to stranded passengers forced to spend the night at the airport there. More than 1,300 flights were canceled yesterday, with dozens more canceled today.
Right now, all the flights aren't going to fly out till like Friday or Monday.
So what are you doing here in the airport?
We're just waiting to see what our options are.
Thousands of people remain stranded at Denver's airport after officials closed all the runways for only the fourth time ever. Just into the Channel 3000 Alert Center, Fitchburg police are releasing the sketch of the suspect who's accused of assaulting a woman in a Princeton Club parking lot. Now, police say that assault happened on March 5th at the location just off McKee Road. Officers say the suspect pushed the victim into her car and punched her several times. He allegedly ran away when she started to scream. Anyone with information is asked to call the Fitchburg Police Department or the Madison Area Crime Stoppers. Police are looking for tips that a missing 2-year-old from Milwaukee could be in St. Cloud, Minnesota, or perhaps Ann Arbor, Michigan. That girl's father, Darius Higgins, is accused of abducting her and killing her mom. He is in custody this morning. Higgins is tentatively charged with first-degree homicide and first-degree recklessly endangering safety, but the toddler, Nolani Robinson, who you see here, is still missing. The FBI is now helping to locate Nolani and hopefully bring her home safely. Empire actor Jussie Smollett has pleaded not guilty to charges accusing him of lying to police about being attacked in downtown Chicago a few weeks ago. The 36-year-old actor's lawyer entered that plea on his behalf. He's charged with 16 counts of disorderly conduct. Prosecutors allege the actor hired 2 friends to help him stage an attack on him in downtown Chicago in January. Smollett has denied staging the attack and maintains his innocence. His next court date is scheduled for April 17th. On Capitol Hill, the Senate will take up a House-backed resolution today that would block President Trump's national emergency declaration that's intended to provide funding to build a wall along the southern border. Now, President Trump is opposed to a compromise by Senator Mike Lee that would limit the power of the president to declare national emergencies in the future. After talks reportedly broke down over the proposal, Lee sided with other Republican defectors blocking the president's border emergency.
Support the president's decision, so I'll vote today to uphold it and reject this resolution of disapproval.
This will be a vote about the very nature of our Constitution, our separation of powers, and how this government functions henceforth.
So President Trump has ordered for $3.6 billion to be spent on building barriers along the southern border. No president has ever declared a national emergency once Congress voted to deny them the funding to carry it out. All right, several familiar faces, including our friend Dave Caulfield, are probably recovering after a stomach ache induced by pie eating this morning. Now to Hubbard Avenue Diner we go, where Dave, News 3 Now film critic Will Loper, there he is there, our noon producer extraordinaire Steph Olson, and photojournalist Chris Hallbacher stuffed their faces with a 3-pound pie taco. The contestants found it tough to navigate the massive French silk pie creations, having only 1 minute to eat as much as they possibly could. Ultimately, it was Will Loper who took this year's crown. And for the head baker, Jason, known as the Pie Guy, this is just the start of a month of pie eating fun.
Once Pie Day's done, we're going to be starting Pie Taco Madness this coming Monday, the 18th. And it's going to be 8 new pie taco flavors. And they're going to go head to head and see which one is the champion.
It's my kind of March Madness right there. Whichever pie taco wins will be the premier pie taco on the Creations anniversary celebration in April. Fun fact about this year's pie eating contest winner, Will has won News 3 Now's inaugural contest back in 2013. We walks away with the trophy and a year's worth a free pie from the diner. I don't know if you need it after that. All right, now next, let's see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
What's the secret to making perfect corned beef and cabbage? We've got it, and it's just in time for St. Patty's Day. Every year, right before St. Patrick's Day, we get tons of emails and comments on MrFood.com from viewers asking if we have any suggestions on how to make the perfect corned beef. Well, we do. We've shared how to cook it in a pressure cooker and on the stovetop. But today, I want to show you my favorite way, in a slow cooker. We start off by peeling and chunking up a good amount of carrots and potatoes and placing them in a 5-quart or larger slow cooker. On top of that, we place a raw corned beef brisket with the fat side up. And if your corned beef comes with a seasoning pack, now would be the time to sprinkle that over the meat. Next, we add our secret ingredient, a good amount of apple juice or apple cider. You see, it adds a richness as it cooks, which makes it extra special. All that's left to do is cover it, set it on low, and let the slow cooker do its thing. After a while, we'll top it with some chunked up cabbage and let it cook a bit more. When the meat and veggies are fork tender, dinner is ready to serve, Irish style. So don't wait another minute. Go online and get the recipe for our slow cooker corned beef and cabbage, so you'll be ready to serve up the luck of the Irish before you know it. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a magical way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
There is more to come on News 3 Now at noon. Up next, we are seeing a lot of flooding across the area. We want to know if we'll be seeing even more rain. And for that, we will go to meteorologist Dave Caulfield with more on your Alert Day forecast. That's right after this. All right, on this noon hour today, we are looking at stocks. Dow is up 27, NASDAQ is down 1, and the S&P is fairly even. Yeah, let's check in now with Q106 Farm Director Pam Yonke. Pam, twice in one day.
Yeah, I know.
That's a happy National Ag Day for me.
I guess I had to double check. It's like, wait a minute, what time is it?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
glad to have you along for the noon show then, Danica. Yeah,
Happy
you're
to be
right.
here.
It is National Agriculture Day. We're hoping that folks are kind of thinking about where their food comes from. I was mentioning on the early show with Danica that the FFA officers, National FFA officers, have been out and about, and they said people would be shocked talking with school kids that honestly believe that their food comes from a grocery store, a factory, a warehouse. They have no correlation at all with farmers having anything to do with their food. So it's been an interesting day all the way around. So please, if you're going to be sharing your message about Wisconsin agriculture or National Agriculture Day, use the hashtag AgDay19. So today the markets are talking about what we might get done as far as spring planting is concerned. Allendale Incorporated came out with some of their private analyst expectations on planted acres. 2.3 million acres more as far as corn is concerned for this year. Backing off a little bit on the soybeans. Wheat-wise, could be the second smallest wheat acreage that we've got in recorded history. That's got our wheat market climbing today on the midday. The soybeans have come back to a little bit more of a neutral position. The corn is still a little bit stronger. Some disappointment in the marketplace. Announcement came out early this morning that it looks like the meeting between the president and China's President Xi is going to be postponed until at least April. So that's something also to be factored in, not just on my markets, but on the Dow Jones and Wall Street information as well. As far as dairy trade is concerned, today barrel cheese up a big 6 1/4 cents to 148 3/4. 40-pound block cheese up 3 at 156. The AA butter up a half, 228 1/2 per pound. And if you can get there, don't forget 2 o'clock this afternoon at the Voyager Inn in Reedsburg, the last of our Alaska travel meetings. So go out and say hello to my buddy Steve at the Voyager Inn. So yeah, honestly, it looks like the issue of getting around southern Wisconsin is getting bigger and bigger by the moment. I just hope, like you said, our rainfall reports don't get bigger and bigger through the evening.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Pam, we will see you again tomorrow, right?
I guess so. You bet.
All right. See you then. Thanks so much. And speaking of whether that rain is going to come down a little harder than expected, let's turn it over to Dave Caulfield with a check on the weather. Hey, Dave.
Well, Danica, this storm system that affected much of the areas closer to Denver and to Nebraska yesterday is now moving farther to the east, and we actually have some severe weather to our south and east, closer to southern Illinois into Kentucky. Also some tornado warnings reported closer to Tennessee. We actually have had some tornado warnings issued in Illinois over the past couple of hours. Right now, the storm in question, just a severe thunderstorm warning, but a couple of those storms just to the south of us forming in that clear sky with the sunshine helping to really juice up those storms are looking a little bit strong at the present time. They're tracking to the north and east, so we're not seeing really anything across southern Wisconsin just yet, but we are keeping our eye out for the threats of maybe a few stronger thunderstorms this afternoon, and those could create some heavy downpours, which is the last thing that we need right now with 8 highways across southern Wisconsin closed due to flooding already, and that number could go up because we still are under a flood watch until early tomorrow morning. The snow depth has basically disappeared, and you can understand why with temperatures in the 50s, close to 60 today, and we've been very warm over the past couple of days, but there's just nowhere for that melted snow to go with the ground, being pretty well frozen still. So not looking at a ton of rain left for the rest of the day, which is good news. But again, these numbers could be a little bit higher during those thunderstorms. So we're watching that closely, and also those river basins we're going to have to watch closely as well, as all this melted snow has to go somewhere, and that will be in area rivers and streams. In Platteville, we've really seen the clouds on the increase, maybe a few showers over the last couple of minutes on our Queen View Radio Skycam. Madison on the Edgewater Skycam looking at Lake Mendota, definitely a different look over the past couple of days as that snow continues to melt, and we've noticed the clouds on the increase in Madison as well. Look at these temperatures, folks. Upper 50s in Madison, lower 60s in Janesville right now. So plenty of energy in the atmosphere to help produce some heavy downpours this afternoon. And wind speeds are pretty gusty out of the south at about 15 to 20 miles per hour in Janesville, gusting closer to 30. Dubuque, Iowa, look at this 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts right now. So on future track, we noticed that there are some blips of green on the map for this afternoon. Tough to exactly pin down where these thunderstorms will develop. Hopefully they won't sit anywhere for a long period of time, but any amount of rain will make the flooding situation a little bit worse, unfortunately. So hopefully we can dodge a lot of these showers, but the threat is there. The chance is there this afternoon. A few snow showers not out of the question for early on Friday, and temperatures much colder for Friday with highs in the 30s. And we're starting off on Saturday in the 20s. So about a tenth to a quarter of an inch of rain possible for the rest of Thursday. And then things definitely quieting down as we take a look at that 10-day forecast by this weekend. This is going to be the first weekend all year without any type of precipitation on Saturday and Sunday. So we'll definitely enjoy that with temperatures pleasant for this time of year, looking like a nice St. Patrick's Day. Our next chance of maybe a few more rain and snow showers arrives on Tuesday night, but I think once we get through the next 24 hours or so, we can all take a sigh of relief outside, because unfortunately, with the flooding has materialized as we expected, and even though the weather will calm down this weekend, we still could be looking at some river flooding.
Well, that's the thing, is we really need that nice dry period there in order to at least have any hope of getting some of this dried out.
Start to recover at that point.
Yeah, well, thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. All right, ahead on News 3 now at noon, a Michigan State fan is gaining a awful lot of attention. That one was for you, Dave, for wearing a costume to the Spartans basketball games. We'll have his story and hopefully Dave's new addition to his wardrobe after this. All right, there's a pretty funny Spartan student earning himself celebrity status for an outfit he wore to Saturday's men's basketball win over Michigan. We're talking about Waffle Guy. The Michigan State senior is also known as Nathan Gazowski. He decided to repurpose a Halloween costume from a few years back, and he's actually worn it to every home game this year. Some people on Twitter started a joke GoFundMe page to get Waffle Guy to the Big Ten tournament, and guess what? It has raised more than $2,000 for the trip. Waffle Guy says he won't use it all on tickets and travel. He plans to donate some of it to charity. Now, if only all this rain, Dave, was maple syrup.
Yes, I think that would be an interesting forecast for sure. And we already have an interesting forecast. The tornado watch just issued just south of southern Wisconsin for northern Illinois and into the Chicago area until 5 p.m. So we're watching those storms closely.
All right. Thank you, Dave. And thank you for joining us. Have a good one.